Hello, welcome to the developer sessions on this, the final day of EGX 2017. Thank you for coming and thank you for watching the people online on Twitch. I'm Bertie, a writer for Eurogamer, and we have a marvelous session planned for you next. So Lego of all your worries, as I introduce Phil Ring, the executive producer of Lego Marvel 2. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, everyone. So my name's Phil. I'm going to show you a few different bits and pieces from the game. We're going to start off with a trailer. We're then going to roll into some gameplay. And I think we're actually going to have some questions at the end. So if there's anything you guys want to ask, feel free to at the end in the question section. So we're going to jump on, and we're going to show a trailer. And the trailer's actually showing one of the features we're going to show in the game. So we'll roll the trailer.
Is that foul stench?
What a rush.
OK, so that's the trailer that we did for the Chronopolis. And Chronopolis is the open world we have for LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 is a direct sequel to the first LEGO Marvel Superheroes. And it's an original story. What's great for us is, in this story, our big bad guy is a guy called Kang. And Kang's a time traveler. So in this story, we don't not only get to go to a whole host of cool Marvel locations and see Marvel characters, we actually get to see different characters from different periods in time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in. So here we have a couple of characters here. We have Captain America, and we have a version of Spider-Man. We have a whole host of different versions of Spider-Man in the game, and not just from a free-play point of view, but actually as part of the story. So you'll be playing the game, and you might have Spider-Gwen teaming up with Spider-Man 29, teaming up with Spider-Man from Noir, New York, and they all have to work together. So what I'll do is I'll just pop up the character grid. So here's a few of the characters that we have. I mentioned some variants in time. One of the places you actually get to go to is the Old West. So here we have an Old West version of Iron Man. So here we have Tony Stark. He's in his kind of blacksmith outfit. And he actually has a suit-up animation. Cool. And then he's ready to go. And he's kind of in almost like a slightly steampunk kind of version of Iron Man. Cool. Some of the other characters that we have as well. Some of the cool ones we have for different variations, but we also get to do things like the really wacky. So if anyone knows Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, trapped in a world I've actually grown accustomed to.
So, and he also has a suit-up animation. And he puts on a fire hydrant and becomes Iron Duck. So that's something that does exist in the comics. What's great as well is we're not bound by just doing things that feature in the comics or things that feature in the films. We really get to pick and choose, which is why we get this whole host of characters that we get to come together. So what I'm going to do is I'll just head outside of Avengers Mansion.
Maybe you've already seen it, but some trouble is going down near where you are.
And this is where we get to show you a little bit of Chronopolis. So what I'll do is I'll switch to a character.
Sliced in half during the formation of my glorious world, then why not consider signing up to Kang's army, where every recruit gets a bed in our comfy barracks. Bring your own towel.
here we are in Chronopolis. Chronopolis is a massive open world. It's something we've done that's completely different. As I'm flying around, I'll kind of start to point out some of the locations along the way. We have Man-Thing Swamp. We have Wakanda. This is medieval England. Out the back there, you'll see places like Asgard, Sakaar. If I fly over this way, you see in the very background, you see the ancient Egyptian pyramids. You actually get to go there. There'll be characters there. There's quests and like people that you will be able to interact with that are all part of this world. I can even dive down. And here we have Lemuria. So this whole place is going to be full of quests, objectives, characters. And throughout the story, you're dipping in and out of this area. We really wanted to feel like a living, breathing world. And what's great as well is it allows us to include things that we just couldn't do without having this kind of time-traveling story. So what I can do as well is I'll show you a couple more characters. One of my favorite characters we've got in the game, actually. So this is Green Skin Smash Troll, and this is Hulk from medieval England. So we really do get to kind of add some quirky characters, and we have massive fans of all of the kind of Marvel world within our office. So they really dig deep. We actually go around and ask the people in our office, what do you want to see? What characters should we include? This is probably one of the coolest things I think we've ever done in a LEGO game. So this character is called Carnum, and Carnum is actually part of the story where the symbiote's being kind of experimented on, and Carnum and Venom actually fuse together and create this new character. So this is something we've been working on with Marvel to create something, and the idea that we've kind of made something that could exist as part of the Marvel universe, we just think is super exciting. So it's something that's really, really cool, and we're really excited to kind of be able to include that character in the game. And he actually is a boss character as well, so before you unlock him, you have to fight him in this massive boss encounter as part of the story levels. Cool. So what I'll do is I'm just going to show you a couple more characters. I mentioned that we have the quirky in there. If anyone knows Spider-Ham, so once again, he exists in the Marvel world, and we thought he'd be a lot of fun to include. And I mentioned Spider-Gwen before. So Spider-Gwen's one of my favorite characters because she's got this really cool kind of abilities.
Spider-Woman to swing into action.
She's actually a drummer in the Mary Janes. So you can get your drum kit out, and you get to use it as a combat attack. So if there's a whole load of enemies around you, you'll hit the drums, and everyone will kind of go scattering around. So what I'll do is I'm just going to switch back to Star-Lord. So Star-Lord has another ability that I think is actually really quite fun. So at any point you're in the game, if you want to kind of do something that's a little bit different, if you press and hold the circle button, Star-Lord starts listening to his music, and everyone around him will start dancing. So you get to use it as a combat move, and then you can kind of just go around laying waste to things. So this is kind of testament to what the team do. They really want to kind of make this world really fun, have like loads of cool characters and loads of cool things you can do in this world. Excellent. So I'm going to just jump out now, and I'm going to show you a second part of the demo. So one is just loading through. I mentioned this is an original story, and we get to go to a whole host of really cool locations. Very early on in the story, we actually start off in Xandar. So you play as the Guardians of the Galaxy on Xandar. Kang's attacking, and you kind of have to go in and save the day, if you will. That's actually something that's playable on the show floor. So if you get a chance, you can pop over to the Sony booth and kind of have some hands-on time with it. The level I'm going to show you, though, is a level a bit further on in the story. It's level 7. And we're actually going to Asgard. So the level's called Certain Doom. The team love terrible puns and wordplay. So what I'm going to do is this will load up. It will first give you a bit of a cutscene, kind of telling you where we are in the story.
Here, Kang's Chronopolis has descended into a mad melee. It looks like it's curtains for us for sure. Our one sliver of hope is a plan to get into Kang's central citadel and take him down. Sources tell me Wasp has secured contact with an ally on the distant nowhere. That's a giant head of a celestial, for those of you not paying attention. Don't get too excited, though, as the offer of help has come from a dog. That's how desperate the Avengers are, folks. Cosmic canines aside, this spacehead could contain enough energy or tech or magic beans to put a dent in the defenses of that citadel. What our so-called heroes need are a pair of sharp eyes to find the fragments of the Nexus they had a hand in shattering.
Odin, my king, the kingdom is lost, our forces scattered.
Enough!
This destruction was brought about by those fools, the Warriors 3, defying Kang. We had a deal.
Odin, I still know not why thou made such a pact.
Brother! I mean, son. You're alive.
Father, what is this madness?
Thor, is it really you?
Oh, father!
Heimdall!
Heimdall! Loki, how? We banished you into the abyss.
Kang plucked me from that demise. With his help, I sent Father on a fool's errand to find you after Manhattan was lost an age ago, leaving me to finally take my rightful place on the throne.
Thor! It's coming down!
As Guardians, finally I will exact my vengeance.
Surtur, foul beast!
I'm going to take your realm, Thor!
We shall see about that, Surtur.
Sons of Muspel, daughters of fury, monsters of the flame, our time has come. Sound the battle cry that all who live may hear it and despair. March to destruction. March to the fall of Asgard.
What the heck are those things? Surtur's minions. Pesky beasts, but they are no match for us.
Okay, so here we have a boss encounter. So as mentioned, this is level 7, and this is where we start to get to see bits and pieces where some of the characters. You may notice we have 2 versions of Thor in the party. We have kind of classic Thor, and we have Thor when it's Jane Foster in control of Mjolnir. And that's kind of just a little bit of a kind of tease on the type of things you get to do in the game with the character variations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through this level, show you some of the characters, show you some of the mechanics. So what we have to do is, so Surtur, he's on fire, so we're going to try and figure out a way to put him out. We're basically going to throw lots of water bombs and things like that at him. So if I take someone like Captain America, you can see this Captain America shield switch. If I just throw a shield in, so we have to do that, and we have to kind of use different mechanics and abilities. Captain America, he's made a return from the first LEGO Marvel superheroes, and he's got some brand new abilities as well. So you can actually charge it up, and he'll surf around on his shield, which you can use to take out multiple enemies. And we also have the return of things like the team-up moves. So in combat, you may see a little bit later on, I'll be able to kind of merge the 2 characters together and use some different abilities. We wanted the combat to feel a bit different, to feel like it's something that you've not seen in a LEGO game before. So we actually have different enemy types as well. So certain enemies will have things like they might have sets of armor on, or you might come across a goon who's got like a flamethrower. So you have to think of a different way to be able to get around them. So you might take, for example, someone like Star-Lord and use a gravity mine. You throw the gravity mine, it lifts them off the floor, they might drop their shield, and it gives you a bit of a different chance of kind of taking the combat. So I've just switched to Thor Jane Foster, and I'll charge up. Now that it's charged up, I can actually use the ability to kind of charge up any electric points. So I'll charge up this barrel dispenser. And then once that's fully charged, I can then use any character with super strength to come along, pick up these barrels, and then we need to throw them at Surtur. So I'll head over. So we'll also notice, like, Surtur just above him, he's got a health bar as well. So this is also something new that we've added for LEGO games. The reason is the way that the boss fights actually work has also been changed. It's not just a case of having different kind of enemies at kind of goon level. The boss encounters will also be encoded differently. So what you'll find is the bosses actually start to react to how you're fighting them, and then they'll start doing different attacks based on what you're doing to them. So if, for example, you try and go toe-to-toe with Surtur and just go melee, he'll start doing attacks that will knock you back, which then means you have to change your fighting style. If you're trying to just shoot him with ranged attacks, he'll start deflecting them and start knocking them back at you. So we wanted the boss encounters to also be slightly kind of more intelligent. If you're kind of like a bit of a hardcore gamer, you want to try and get the best score, you want to keep hold of your studs, it means you'll be trying to look at the patterns and trying to avoid them. If you're still a younger gamer and you still want to just get through, you can kind of run up and start hitting square. You will eventually get through the boss fight, but we did want that kind of level of depth to it, something that's just a little bit different. so I just need to take Surtur down a few more times. Right, and he's going to make his escape. Okay, so Loki has his Chest of Winters, so we're using that to actually stop the attack that's coming through. He's now just helped out his kind of new teammates as you just joined up in this level. But unfortunately, our catapult that we were using has now been destroyed. But very luckily for us, there's actually a Captain America spot underneath. So what this allows us to do is we can actually go up to it, and then if we press the circle button, hang on, I'll just get this goon out of the way. And what we can do is we can use this new ability that Captain America has where he can throw his shield. So if you've seen any of the Avengers films or anything like that, he's always kind of rebounding his shield off multiple things. So we look for this point here, and we throw the shield. And it's going to ring this bell, and it's going to call in some help from another character. The character that's coming in, I think, is actually a very cool addition. So we have Gwenpool in the game. Gwenpool's actually very important to the whole experience. We don't have red bricks anymore, we now have pink bricks. And you have a whole load of quests and missions and levels that you do, basically, that Gwenpool will introduce. So she's a really important character. She's going to turn up not just throughout the story, but also throughout the entire game. And some of those levels are really, really quirky. One of them, you actually have Howard the Duck going to a convention because he's really upset that no one knows who he is. So he goes to a gaming convention, a little bit like EGX, and then tries to convince developers to make a game about him because he wants popularity, he wants to be famous. So we get to do some really quirky things, and we work really closely with LEGO and with Marvel on this title. And so being able to kind of do bits and pieces like that, it's really fun, and the team have a lot of fun kind of putting all these bits together. So what we'll do is I just need to take down Surtur a few more times. And as I mentioned, this is about the 7th level of the game. We have I don't think we've revealed the full number level list, but this is one of the largest games we've ever made. Like I say, the story's really cool, it's really branching. We actually have points where you get to select what part of the story you want to play. So there'll be moments when you sit there and go, actually, I want to team up with Spider-Man and Kamala Khan, or you'll sit there and go, no, actually, I want to go team up with Captain America and Thor and go off and do different story paths. So we kind of have this branching story that goes through different locations. And then, of course, it all comes back together, and we have this big encounter with Kang. This is actually something we did tease at the very end of the very first LEGO Marvel Superheroes. So if anyone managed to get through the whole game and see the end credits spoiler, there was this actual moment when the Guardians of the Galaxy arrive on Earth. That's actually the very beginning of this game. This is where we kind of pick things up from. And we also worked with a Marvel writer. It's a guy named Kurt Busiek, and he's basically an authority on Kang. He knows he's done some of the best Kang storylines ever. And it's great that we actually get to do that because it means that we have a really kind of authentic Marvel experience, but kind of told through the LEGO way we show these stories, the LEGO lens of what these characters would be like. So this should now trigger the outro.
Nice teamwork.
Aye. See, brother, when we unite forces, brother.
He snuck out on us.
Ah. Families.
Thor!
Heimdall, thank the World Tree you survived.
Mere rocks won't break me.
We have much to discuss, and we require your aid locating shards of the Nexus.
Curious. Odin, I mean, Loki, was asking of the same.
Then go with them. I will keep vigil here should Surtur return.
You make a most worthy Thor.
Let's regroup back in Manhattan.
Finally! I've always wanted to visit Broadway.
Okay. So that's the end of the story part that we're showing as well. Just before we move on to the Q&A section, one of the things that we're also talking about for LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2 is we have a 4-player competitive mode in the game. So not only can you play the entire game through in 2-player, kind of the whole story, all the free play, but we actually have a 4-player mode where you get to kind of battle out in arenas. And the modes are kind of, one of them's rotating around the Infinity Stones, and you have to collect them all, and they have different powers and abilities. And then the other mode is actually something called Color Clash. So if you have some friends come around, you want to play a 4-player experience, we'll actually do that for this game as well. Excellent. So that's the end of the demo section, and I think we're going to move into the Q&A section now. So.
Hello, everyone. So we have a microphone in the aisle here, so please come on up and ask a question if you have one. That looked fantastic. I love all the selection of characters you get. Is there anything you can't do when you come to adding characters? Is there anything Marvel says, like, no, you can't possibly do that?
No, we really get to kind of pick and choose. We've been working on the character list for basically since the end of the first game, in all honesty, because we knew we were coming back, and it was like, okay, who could we add that would be really cool? And then being able to show all the variants and all the different kind of versions that we have, it really is testament to the fact we're not stuck with, no one came to us and said, you have to do the most recent comic run. We get to do really classic stuff. We get to do theatrical. We get to do comics that are running now. So, and just really mix and match. And that's brilliant fun for us, because it means that we kind of get to do the kind of really quirky things you get in the story that we just previously wouldn't have been able to.
How do you choose? Because, you know, like the Marvel lexicon is massive. You know, there are years and years and years of comics, places, characters, variants. How do you narrow it down? How do you know where to go? Do you look at what films are popular? Do you look at what comics are popular? Or do you distinctly think, no, we want to be completely different from them? How do you get to this, basically?
Most of it's actually people in the office. I genuinely mean it when we say we've got massive Marvel fans in the office. So we sit there and go, okay, we're going to do something that's Marvel related. And then we have people just coming out saying, oh, we should add this character. And then we look into it. And we also look at kind of what other people are asking for. So we had some really cool requests and things.
What were the biggest requests?
Some of the biggest ones are kind of things like Spider-Gwen. She's got a massive fan following. So we actually managed to do her as a t-shirt as well, which we're lucky enough to have in the studio. And we also had requests for people like Agent Venom. So Agent Venom's a character you get to use. And so that was something that we added to the game. And it's things like that we really do listen to what consumers want. So if people are saying, oh, I'd love to see this character, we'll kind of do everything we possibly can to add it. And we're even still adding characters now, right up to kind of the very end. We just want to do more and more.
Do the people who play the games have a particular favorite? Is there one character that's played above all others, or a collection of characters?
There's one in particular that I think has a lot of love, and it's Groot. But the reason is we have 2 versions of Groot. We actually do have Baby Groot in the game, but with Kang being a time traveler, he actually gets some of his tech. So you get to run around as Baby Groot, which is just the cutest thing ever. And then you get to use the kind of time tech to turn him into Adult Groot, which gives him a whole different load of abilities. So then, of course, you can kind of stomp around and defeat lots of enemies. But being able to kind of switch between the 2 is brilliant. And I spend ages running around the Chronopolis as Baby Groot. It's just really cute. So.
Does he have the Groot dance? Has he got a little dance? Has he got a little special?
He might do. I can't give everything away. But yeah, it's something to look out for. If you kind of look at what he does and kind of leave him alone for a little bit, he might start to have a little bit of a boogie.
Are there any places or characters you'd still like to get to? Is there anything that you personally would be like, man, I wish we could get this in a game?
Actually, like I say, we're lucky enough that we've been able to do it. I mean, we've even got some really cool things like the Inhumans are going to be in there. So you get to play as Lockjaw, and he's got his kind of teleporting abilities and everything. And it was just one of these things that not only just from a kind of like, can we do this, can we add this to this game, but how do you even play as that character? And the team has done a brilliant job of being able to make it kind of feel really, really intuitive and really fun. And so that was one of these ones I was just sat there going like, oh, wow, we've actually done that. So that's really cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. So the game is coming out the 17th of November, as I'm sure you can see. Don't forget, it's playable here, so go and have a play. But otherwise, thank you very much to Phil for showing us that today. So thank you.